class. Without further ado, I want to pass the time to Harriet to introduce our guest today. Harriet?
So welcome to the class to TNTI 101. We are having two guests of today. The first one is Kyle. Kyle, can you say hi?
Hi everybody.
Hello. And the second one is Jonathan Ching. Are you here, Jonathan? I think you should be here.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi, Jonathan. So I'm working.
Hi, Harriet. Hi.
Hello. Yes. So I'm inviting two of my friends who are working in a startup called Gööp. How many of you have heard of this app? Can you click on some response if you have heard of this app? Okay, I think I see around I think around 10 or 20 students have heard of this app. So as this is what is claimed, so we have around 50 students. They claim that 1/3 of university students are using the app. So I hope that you guys could enjoy, and maybe I'll invite John and Kyle to share a bit about the app and what you guys expecting to do and things like that, and share your startup journey.
Sure. Thanks, Harriet, and thanks HUST for inviting us over to talk about our company. So yeah, it's always our intention to get back to our users, our students, to share about our founder journey and what we're going to do next. So perhaps I can share a PowerPoint so you guys can be more clear of it. Give me a second. Can you see the screen? Can you guys all see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So perhaps I'll just get started. So the story is that I'll just talk about it from a very personal perspective, because tracing back to the time when I was still a year 2 student, and back then I was so aspired to be working at big corporates like P&G and all the tech giants in the world, and I'm struggling to secure an internship in P&G back then, exactly at year 2, and I did so many stuff just for that single objective. I asked all my friends, unfortunately not so many, and I attended all the recruitment talks on campus. But back then I didn't have the money to pay for the career services. So from my story, you can feel that actually, if you want to make social connections for information, it's so exhausting. There's so much stuff you need to do in order to do this. So and it's not just me. This hustle happens to many other people. For example, you're still an undergrad, so back then when you're still a year 1 student, you try so hard to fit into the community by joining different student clubs. You try to apply for the dormitories. You try to participate in all sorts of case competitions just to fit in. And for investors, I mean, for our investors, they have to attend so many networking events, dinners, and for salespersons, that they have to attend all the breakfast clubs and all these in order to expand their social network. As you can see, there are so many things to do in order to make a social connection nowadays. So we think there needs to be a trust-based and efficient scene for interaction. And therefore, we come up with the idea of Gööp, and we try to rethink the social network with trust and intimacy. So, John, you can feel free to jump in if you have any sharing. Yeah, and So what Gööp does is a community tool for university students. For those who have not been a user of Gööp, so you can imagine there is forum-like feed where it contains unlimited number of WhatsApp group and all the discussions are campus related. So as long as you are a student, for example, as long as you're a student from HKUST, you can create your own discussion groups on a certain topics. For example, if you want to know about if this course is suitable for you, if that professor is a friendly person, you can feel free to create any chats to ask around. And then, so based on these form factors, so users have access to everyone on campus. So as long as you have successfully created a chat room, and then everybody will be able to respond to you. Yeah, and then so some people may ask that. So what's the difference between a group community and a Facebook group? You know, back then there are a lot of Facebook groups centering around different topics. For example, I'm sure there's a Facebook group for HKUST as well. But the problem is, if you engage in a discussion on Facebook, you have to review yourself. And Facebook actually encourage you to be a real person. Say, if they found out that, oh, this account does not represent any individuals, actually they have the authority to ban you forbidden you from using Facebook. So the problem here is the engagement barrier becomes so high that not everybody is able to speak freely. And that's why we give an option to our users that we mask them with anonymity. So if you don't want to review yourself, if you want to speak anonymously for some embarrassing questions or for some controversial, sensitive discussion, you can speak as an emoji. But of course, if you are representing a student union, for example, you're making an official announcement and you want to leverage Gööp as one of your communication channels, you can speak as your username, and we can even help to verify you to prove to the user that, oh, this person is an authenticated officials and executive from the student union. Yeah. So this is our core logic. So what we're trying to achieve is that we want to build a verified network where everybody can trust the others. So what Gööp does is now we verify students with their university emails. We so when you first register Gööp, you have to use your university email in order to be able to create a discussion or response to a certain chat, and that's what we do. And in the future, we are trying to be a verifier for different communities so that users can trust Gööp to believe that, oh, that person is really the person that they claim, right? So that's one thing we want to do. And secondly, for safe information exchange, what we mean is that we want to create a safe environment, a free environment for casual discussion. Yeah, and students don't actually have to worry about their identity. They don't have to be worried if their chats, their message being judged by other people. Yeah, and lastly, last but not least, we also want to through Gööp help different community to build sense of belonging, because we believe that social connection is the first step to sense of belonging. You love HKUST, it's not necessarily because you love that building, you love the name of HKUST. It's because of the people you know here. That's what contributed to sense of belonging to HKUST to a very large extent. So we think this set of experience and actually applies to different communities as well. And going back further, back in 2018, we launched a group with different student unions, and fortunately, thanks to your support, we're able to rank at number 5 across the social media app store. And on the over there in Indonesia, perhaps John later can share more on this. We'll also be able to achieve rank 7th in Indonesia, and that is a pretty good result. Yeah, and we're still trying hard to improve the user base and improve the user experience. So actually, this month we have also surpassed. We got nearly 40,000 monthly active user, which is a historical moment of Gööp, because we have never recorded a monthly active user base like this. I think it's mostly because of the COVID-19 that everybody are stuck at home, and they express a strong need for social connection and information need, and therefore they have used Gööp much more than that of before. Yeah, and so the other thing that we are proud of Gööp is that we are a product that express sticky retention, and that is one of the metrics that we use to measure the importance, the significance of an social media app. So retention means when you first download an app, like how frequent will you return to the product? So you see, we are quite consistent on this metric. We're achieving over like a 50% of day 30 retention rates, while the industrial average is at like 6% on day 30 retention. And thanks again for your support. Yes, and this is not a figure for a single month or 2 months or 3 months. It's actually consistent since we launched. So luckily, we have found the product market fit of Gööp in Hong Kong. And perhaps John can share more about your expansion story in Indonesia.
Yeah, we're very interested on, I think John has been to Indonesia for around half year to a year, and they expand the business in Indonesia. So John?
Sure. So maybe going back a little bit about the whole class. According to my understanding, the class is about entrepreneurship 101, right? 1001. So I think maybe what we actually really want to share with you guys is we were in your shoes maybe 3 to 4 years ago, and we are not quite sure what idea to do. And a little bit about story as well. This is actually we actually have 4 co-founders: Kyle, me, John, Jeff, and Peter. And in the very beginning, it's not our idea to start a business on social network, because back in the days, it seems like a pretty dumb idea. I still remember everyone have a 4 of us, including Kyle and me, etc. We feel like social network is so crowded. It doesn't make sense to start a social network in 2017. If you started in 2007, maybe 10 years ago, maybe you get to be the next Facebook or Snapchat. And 2017 wasn't quite a right moment that we feel like we should be doing it. But at the end, we give it a try, do some hustling. I think Kyle can share more about the story about the learning commons, Chihuahua learning commons hack that we did back then. There's a lot of like little stories, but the main point is
what major are you guys in?
I was in computer science.
Okay, so you can write code? What about
I
Carl?
can.
Yeah, I was in finance major,
Oh, okay, so
and
you can get funding.
Raise it,
probably
fundraising, yeah.
I actually declared my second major marketing in year 4. Yeah, so I was
Okay,
doing
so
double
marketing,
major.
finance, double, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then we have two
who-
more, one
yeah,
from
two more,
CS, one from global business. So all of us are from HKU.
Okay, so, but is this something that you guys want yourself? I mean, not as a business, but is this a pain point that a student, you think this is something you need to solve?
Yeah, it is actually. The story goes that the team started to joining some class similar to this one, and then it is the class that actually put us together. We formed a team, and then back then we were in California, so we have some California exchange, having fun, and then do some side hustle, and then we were doing some. Back then, the hit startup was Uber, so we are doing something like Uber for logistics in LA, Los Angeles. So we have a founder called Jeff. He got his driver license over there. Spent 5 days to got it over there, and then we start driving. And then when we are doing driving, when then we start finding different merchants, we ask them, hey, you have a lot of how do you say it? Jeans. You have some jeans. You have something. You want to ship it to Beverly Hills. Let us help you. So actually, that's how I was putting together a very crappy app. I was using something called Ionic app. So basically, it's a low downgrade version of a hybrid app. But I don't know whether there's. I think in UST there are plenty of coders, so I can talk technical. But at the same time, yeah, Ionic's really not that good. But then I was building that shitty app, trying to sign up use drivers and then sign up merchants. So it's like a platform. So we start driving and then see how it goes. And at the end, within 3 months, we get around 100,000 USD for the GMV, for the amounts of things or like the order that goes through our hands. So it was pretty fun back then. But then, yeah, so it's like a small team.
And you don't kill each other because he only know how to drive for 5 days.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was how we met to pull the team together. So we wasn't really sure about what to do, and we never thought about doing this as well. So yeah, and then we came back, and then there are different side story, and at the end we came up with the Gööp idea in a dorm room in MIT. So what happened is after the California exchange, I flew to Boston for another exchange. Luckily, I actually did 2 exchange over my year. So that's what I have a double degree. So I have more time spent for doing exchange. So this is also another small story, which is sometimes money comes from unexpected places. So the very first funding of Gööp is actually when I was walking into a seminar. So there was a seminar over there. I just walked in there. I saw that, oh, there's a new accelerator recruiting people. And then I walked over. I had my skateboard back then. So I was carrying my skateboard. Imagine like I was with my helmet as well. I walked into the classroom, saw some people in suit, and I start talking to them. And then some chit-chatting, because I mean, I wasn't really from MIT, right? I'm from HKU exchange in MIT. But I think the MIT halo is kind of real. So people just take me very seriously. So after some talking, I give them, I didn't have name card, right? So I got their name card, say hi. And then over time, after 3-4 emails, they decided to give us 100K USD to start our idea.
Whoa.
And then, so the story or the lesson over here is because for the accelerator, right? So so we got that, and then in exchange for 5% for an idea. So I think it's a pretty sweet deal, given that we didn't have anything except the logistics startup. So so what happened? Fast forward a little bit, I would say that we came up with the idea of Gööp finally in the dorm room because we were struggling with our original idea. We cannot really scale it into a very huge business. So we came, hey, why don't now we exhaust our idea? Why don't we have a good team? We have bad ideas, but we have good team. Why don't we try something out? So we come into an idea about making social networks that have a focus on group communication, because we saw that there are a lot of things focusing on individuals, but there's not much focusing on group. And that's how we started the idea. And then the story goes, as Kyle has explained, it actually was solving some of our problem that we came back after coming from exchange, flew to UST. I think this would happen to you guys when you guys have third year, fourth year. So basically you lost touch with the campus for 1 year and you don't, it's hard to
lucky
find.
if there's no more pandemic. If not, they are stuck at home.
I think you guys will be fine. You guys will be fine. Hopefully, 1 year later. Flying back, and then we couldn't really connect to our campus. So we think, okay, hey, this is our idea. So why don't we execute it? And then the story goes, as Kyle explained already, suddenly we get a spike, and then the business start running. So the main problem back in almost 1 year or 1.5 years ago is actually, okay, now we have a winning product, but how do we monetize it? It's not exactly making money for people chatting on our platform. Yeah. We have a lot of eyeballs, we have a lot of user activity, then how do we do it? And this is actually what Kyle and I have been doing for the past 1 year. We're trying to we're trying to make it the product into something scalable, and then it can be fundraisable. At the same time, we have to stand on our own feet. And the way to do it is through a lot of hustles, and then by talking to a lot of different brands. So at the end, we make money out of advertisement. So I think this one, Kyle, maybe we can share a little bit more about our advertisement package.
Yeah, before that, we would also want to highlight that the entire founder story, it all started from a small problem that is around us. For example, the logistic company. Why we started that is just because Jeff was a huge fan of driving, but then we don't.
5 days after he got his.
We don't have enough gas money. We don't have the gas money. So what do? Is that is to help people to deliver goods, and then that's where the ideas come from. And for Gööp as well, like we came back to HKU, and then two of them found out that they have messed up the course registration and they have to defer for a year, and then we have no more friends back in here because they have all everyone
graduated, and then it would be too late for us to join a student society or live in a dormitory again. Nobody wants to take us, right? Because they know our focus will not be student activities no more. And therefore, we think it's good to start a platform where everybody can connect to everybody with in an effortless way. Yeah, and yeah, that's how the story began.
So what happened to your GPA?
It's fine. It's fine. Still got my second honor, thanks God. Yeah.
Double major, second honor, and starting a new company.
Yeah, it was all right. It could be better. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Maybe maybe it's better doing the startup.
Yeah.
So what stage are you guys in?
Honestly, as Erwin, you were talking about honestly, at this moment, I think Kyle and I both have a realization or a feeling, which is nobody give a damn about the GPA after 3 months. After 3 months of graduation. Nobody give a damn after 3 months. Yeah, we're a guest lecturer. We're a guest, so we can say that freely. But really, we don't.
This is the guest comment, not mine.
Doesn't represent the main stage opinion. Yeah, but I think when we are seeing from our perspective, the most successful peers from our cohort, which is actually not too far away, 2-3 years ago, most of them are very entrepreneurial in a way that I have a friend, actually from UST. He started doing a lot of venture funds. So he was working for Sequoia and then invested in some blockchains, managing millions of money, etc. So those type is actually not. It's never about GPA. It's mostly about how you stand out from the crowd. And imagine using the number 3.5 versus 3.8 to stand out, compared to having your own stuff. Even an IG page, Instagram page, is actually much easier to stand out compared to using a single score. So I think that this is another takeaway. But of course, it's easier said than done. So right now I finished my study, so it's easy for me to say. But at the same time, a lot of times, that's what my observation is for 2-3 years of graduation.
I think that's a very good point. That's true on that a little bit, because if everybody, we were taught all our life to follow some rules, and then what success is being defined, and then and what you have just said is actually, instead of chasing that 0.3%, but 0.3 out of your GPA, which is not small, define the rule, define something that potentially only yourself, it's your competition, and then you actually want to actually drive that. And I think that's what this generation should do, and then that's what that's what you guys are trying. But how about, are you afraid of losing? How about this comfort zone thing? Do you guys even have a comfort zone? I mean, 5 days. See, I'm crazy. I thought I was crazy already. I was in the US 17 days, and I got my driver's license, and you guys got it in 5 days. That's even
Really.
Yes, this is crazy. I mean, it has to be under Donald Trump.
Is it like a fan or a private car? Like which state did you do it?
I actually got a type 2, which actually include motorbike and van, and I actually started driving for the church. So I actually start getting my own salary doing that. So obviously we don't have Uber at that time. So but that's, again, mobility is so important. Being able to travel and seeing East Coast, West Coast is also very, very important. So that kind of going around and seeing life, it's a way of success, I think, in a way. So but how about how about comfort zone? I mean, you guys are in Hong Kong. You should have a very narrow mind, but you are very good. So what happened?
Actually, we did have our comfort zone, for group for group beta, it was not a standalone social media platform. Back then, we were doing AI chatbot.
Everybody was doing that.
It was like 2 to 3 years ago. We
now it's sophomore year computer science homework. So
right. Oh.
Yeah.
We have Stu raising his hand. And Nish, you want to ask your question? If you have a question or comment?
Join us.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a very great point raised.
Couldn't hear you.
Maybe you can type it as well. It's also okay.
Yeah.
Your voices are a little bit cracking, but thank you for the questions. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And others, you're welcome to submit your questions or simply raise your hand, and then we'll get to you, because this is an open kind of discussion and conversation.
Leon, I see that Leon is raising your hand.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Right, so from a link, I think posted on the Canvas, it says that you guys are planning to expand group to middle high school. So I was wondering, without like a school email address for each individual student, how do you plan on doing the identity verification process for these middle schoolers?
Yes. That's a very good question, and that provokes a lot of internal discussion among our team as well. Like for university students, they have a university email. Actually, for high school students, they have one as well. But then not all of them will be able to receive external email. So we're trying to look into different ways to verify their identity. So one possible option is that we're looking into a time and location dimension to do this. What I mean is that, for example, a typical high school student, under circumstances, like for example at 9 a.m., he will be attending school, right? So he got to be at certain GPS parameter. We can use that as a verification gateway. For example, for consecutively 3 days, his GPS location expressed in shows that he is in Kowloon Sai or in Mong Kok, and then after 3 days, we completed the verification process, and we stopped asking for his GPS process. That could be one possible way. And Solution number 2 will be we ask entry questions. For example, every community they has their domain knowledge that is only shared by insiders. For example, if you happen to live in dormitory, you know that the lady who opened the door for you every day, that only a few people will know her name, right? We can use that domain knowledge as entry barrier in order to verify that, oh, this single user belongs to a certain group. Yeah, that's solution number 2. And actually, we are still brainstorming what is the optimal way in order to truly verify a user without compromising too much of the user experience. Because if this is too complicated and the whole onboarding process, the experience will be poor, and then it affects our adoption rate. And yeah, we're still looking into that, but most probably we will be going to these 2 directions.
Yeah, and just jump in a little bit. So there's also, so Kyle mentioned that basically using the metadata of the phone, user activity, in order to verify it's a real student. And the second, there's one more that I want to mention, which we actually have tested it. I think for the nerds in the group would be actually quite interested, which is we're trying to do something called decentralized authentication. So it's actually drawing idea from the blockchain scene where there's no single authority, right? So something like similar to a blockchain, but beside like everyone is a decentralized node. And then we use multiple nodes. For example, I can say that Leon is a real student in UST. So by building, and then this is a node pointing to another node, which is you, Leon. And then there's also different kind of node. So it will form a mesh. So after having the mesh networks, then we can say that, hey, this is with certainty that this should be real. So it's actually like, it's not really a blockchain protocol, but it's actually drawing inspiration from this type of, it's called decentralized, I forgot, the decentralized, yeah, there's a term, I forgot, is in computer science, but it's basically verifying whether the integrity of the information. So this is another point that we're looking into. So this 3, we think, going back to the very beginning, when Kyle and I started Gööp, we are thinking about group communication. We're thinking about how do we optimize the group experience, that when I send out, for example, like a group class like this, or for example, like a group chat for your class, except of just sending one single message out, is there a better way to deliver the same information to across the group? And we are investigating about how to do it from one person sending to a campus that is 10,000 or 20,000 people. So it's like a M2N, many to many. It would be from one person to how do we spread the message across so many people. So I think what was interesting along the journey is that we have been thinking about this for a long time, but a lot of time, as Leon, you have asked, a lot of time a new problem comes in, it makes us to think about why we started doing this. And then we try to come up with new solutions that would be innovative and also value adding to the experience. So this idea we are trying to execute. We haven't, is quite daunting, honestly, but we are quite excited about it, because once we execute it, you can basically have you can have a group chat that can actually verify the membership without one single authority dispute. Not in going into details about this, but I think when you think about the society around you, this is actually quite important, because people a lot of time are fighting for power, for one power of the authority. So we're thinking along this ways.
And at the end, that's actually very interesting, because that's what Mark Zuckerberg wants to do, where everything kind of go back to him. Even though he was trying to launch this cryptocurrency thing, he still want to control all of it. So I think this is actually interesting, because when you think about it that way, for your generation, he is so last generation. So because definitely for your generation, you want to be water, you want to be anybody anywhere, and then you don't want to really go back to a centralized a control type thing and so on, which is very strange. So And that's also very important, because otherwise you guys are not building another Hong Kong Golden or just a forum.
Just a forum, yeah.
Yeah, just a forum. Because at the end of the day, just a forum is just a forum, and all you can do is actually sell advertising. That's really boring, and then everybody will skip you. But if you are really able to actually drive this new way of communication, where small networks kind of connect to each other, which is the network effect of what social media can be, that would actually create a much more powerful platform. So in a way, Twitter is actually like that. So even though they cannot really truly monetize it, so that's also something we're thinking through. It's
okay. They are still a public company, so it's not too bad.
It's okay, right? Yes.
So Erin sent a few links that is regarding decentralized identifier or decentralized authentication. And then Anish managed to type in the question. Sorry, we couldn't hear you, but
I think
your question is, oh, we can hear you now. Do you want to ask yourself?
Yeah, so just back on our earlier point, but I think a lot of people, especially USA in general, are like quite wary of like either directly launching a startup or at times even joining a startup, just because, you know, there's a perception that it's not safe, or, you know, you can always fall back to a much more safer career or safer, you know, GPA score. So I was just quite personally, you know, interested in maybe, you know, what generally drives you or anyone else, you know, to actually like, you know, take this maybe riskier path in general.
I would say about there are actually two elements. I think the first one is that is without doubt that if you manage to have something of your own and then you drive it through your career path, and if the platform is successful or have some commercial or is of any values, actually is a better way to navigate your career path, because you can use it as a leverage. But at the same time, as you mentioned that I think there is certain safety net that you should build before going out, right? So to be honest, when we are doing this, we were kind of lucky because we got the platform up and running when it was our third and fourth year, second last and last year. So it was not really a safety net. It's more like a choice. We're choosing between A or B. Should we go into the job that we got from the internship? Kyle and I both got an internship back then, and then we could have returned to the company. Or do we pursue B, which is like the red pill? Do you go for a more riskier path? And at the end, both of us choose a more dangerous route. So I think that's why if you guys are first year and second year, I think UST provide a lot of good resource for you to kickstart. And the earlier the better, because once you get the result already when it was your last year, then instead of like we have the safety net behind us, but at the same time we decide to pursue something more riskier. So yeah, so that's the answer. And also I think one more point, which is a lot of times when you were in your year 2, year 3, there are actually a lot of decisions you can make to optimize your career planning. And by saying that was that you can still apply for different internships, etc. There's no harm, because it actually adds you legitimacy about whether you're a good candidate or not. But at the same time, those platforms can let you to explore your own projects, passion project turn into a startup. And this is actually quite good way to execute this. So that's my take. I think Kyle also have different perspective on this.
Yeah, back then I did struggle about whether I should take a regular position at a prestigious company, or do I want to continue to stay Gööp and grow it? And then my approach to it is that I don't believe that company names or empty title or whatsoever can represent my ability, right? I think when one day if I decided to jump back to corporates again, they're gonna look at what I did before, and that's what more important in my point of view. So in Gööp, I am able to do whatever I like. And that gives me much space to exercise my creativity, to demonstrate my ability. So I'm not sure if this is a risky way to it. At least I don't think it is. Yeah.
Well, I think it's always good that you have a chance. And especially, I think a lot of our students are in their year 1 to year 4, and they're facing a lot of different challenges and difficulties. So it would be better if you have done some more thing and try something else when you're still in undergraduate, and you can have a choice at different points of time. And and we have another student, Queenie, ask about do you think that in this age of non-technology startup related can still be successful? What do you think?
I think yes. Recently, I have come to know about a non-tech startup. It's called Agorize. It is what they do is that they help different companies to organize case challenges, and the vision of them is to bridge their brands with the innovative individuals through these kinds of competitions. Essentially, they're creating a scene for brands and these talents to interact, right? So and they are doing pretty good. I think they have 4 offices around the globe. So I think as long as you can find product market fit or service market fit, you can always try and start up. Yeah.
Let me comment a bit on that. Obviously, if you are there are different ways to look into it. Obviously, having a tech person is useful, but if you for a very wet sea, wet ocean type industry that you're entering, then potentially without any lip, whoever were there have more resource, more market, and more user, then the chance that you actually break in is very, very difficult. But when you are, even though let's say when we talk about Uber, when you're entering the taxi industry, you will be screwed because they have 30 years of all these billions of dollars there that they don't want you. But Uber never really enter the taxi industry. They look to change the way that people transport from here to there. So there's always a need to transport here to there. But taxi is just one of the way, but it's very old, legislated and so on. So usually in today's, you need to find that innovation. Sometimes related to technology. Sometimes it might be related to a knowledge that you are in the industry that you move faster, that Carl have mentioned. But that can easily be copied. So the key is you need to find that innovation. And the way that I define innovation, it's find a new way to do all things. But especially now that we're in the new normal, everything changed. So all the old model needs to change, and then there are all the new opportunities out there and so on. But having technology will help you, but having new model will actually help you. So not just technology, but usually it's related in the sense of otherwise it's very hard to actually create a very large value without a large capital investment. Because capital, most of the old incumbent of an old industry, they have capital. They have barrier of entry. They don't want you to be there. But the way that I usually do it, they go this way, I go that way. I hit them from the side instead of chasing them from the back. So that's something that you need to think through. But it's even more difficult if you don't have the technology to do it. But there might be changing industries that allows you to actually see rules before other people do, and then then you'll be able to do it. And it's actually more difficult to do that. So from our course here, we look not from the angle of the solution, because the solution is usually defined by somebody there already. So if you go back and look at the root problem, look at the problem, then there might be new ways to solve it without the old solution. So I think that's something that's also worth you thinking through to actually do it. But but let me put that in another way. So let's say four of you have two person that can do coding, because most of these we have projects going on, and I was in some of the teams talking to them. They say, oh, we don't have technology people, so we cannot start. So something like that. So what's your comment to that?
I think going back to that question, which is I think is interesting, because how do you define a technology startup? Like when looking back, actually, like building an app might not be the most cost-effective way to launch our product. Especially nowadays, you need so many acquisition costs, marketing in order to get people to download your app. So I would comment, which is how do you define a technology startup? Because some startup, you just need to have, for example, you just need a Google form to sign up your customer. And then you just need a person to go through the Google Doc, Google Sheet, and you see all the answers from the Google Sheet, and then you call them up and then start selling them things. There are also a lot of low code or no code platform, which basically let you drag and drop business logic. So if you receive an order, then you do something like this, and then so you can use some online platform that integrate things. So all in all, I would say that a lot of times building an app or website might not be the best way to launch your idea. Having a simple Google form would be enough to validate the needs. So having technical co-founder is actually not a must, I would say. Once you validate that a lot of people want to use this, and then you can start doing other things, and the resource will come along, etc. And don't try to do, I actually, a lot of people ask me, oh, should I learn coding? And as a CS people, my default answer should be yes, right? This is the future, you should learn it. But in reality, actually what I'm thinking about it is an optional thing. A lot of times right now, outsourcing or building an app or building a website is actually not that hard. So I wouldn't say it's a must. Try to look for alternatives. There are always some other solution out there that can solve your problem already. So that's my take.
Very good point. Jonathan, help us mention a very interesting thing that we'll do in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we will be looking into the zero code movement, and then they'll be starting to use, if you want to build a website, go to Wix, go to Workflow. If you want to run a form online, Google Form is the easiest now. You can try Airtable. All these things, there's no need to actually do your own code. But I would say learning your code is actually not that difficult anyway. So may as well learn it so that when you go and ask questions, at least you can communicate it. But there are all these zero code, codeless movement. But you just mentioned the other one earlier, that sometimes they get shitty code that generates. But there are all kinds of things now, much more mature. We actually call software as a service, that you can actually start something early. For the team here, for our students here, they all are starting an e-shop. Only four weeks wow. in the semester. So they don't need to know how to do coding to start an e-shop, because there are e-shops online that they can do and so on. So they're doing Shopline or Shopify that they can actually do online without knowing anything. But so to take advantage of the e-commerce world, you don't have to really do the whole thing. And then last week we talked about analytics. Again, you don't have to really do all the coding to do all the data, but without knowing data, you will not be able to go there. So these are things that I think that's very important. I think that maybe we can drive this point a little bit before other people ask questions. Is that, okay, so, but these are things that's not what our normal major talk about. Let's say in your global business or in your CS, because you might need business knowledge as a CS person. And as a global business person, you might need coding, and you might need understanding of sociology, let's say, for what you are doing. So how do you recommend students today? Should they spend all their time on their major, or like you guys do double major, and so that you got double exchange, or what do you say? How to learn for tomorrow?
From my perspective, I think it's important to always stay curious, because if you really want to start a business, it's impossible for you to just focus on one function, because back then we didn't have so much resources. We have to handle like marketing, product design, graphics designs, and all these. So you have to have that mentality and certain knowledge to be able to achieve that. So I think that's also important. So I recommend people to have a brief understanding of different aspects of a business, and then you choose one or two skill set that you invest much time on it to make it become your profession. And I think this type of personal development is quite good.
Jonathan?
From my perspective is, I'm not quite sure, because I feel like there are actually a lot of opportunities out there, no matter what major. So even like thinking about Gööp, none of us is a sociology major, but we can observe that, hey, there's a lot of problem in the world, in the media. There's fake news. There's also polarization of media. So all these stuff is actually around us, and we know about it. Not that this is actually something that also inspired Gööp, but actually we could not quite crack it, right? So if going back to the questions about major, etc., I think it really have to come down with having a preconception that I think we should, everyone in the class, although you guys are right now an undergraduate trying to get a degree, but remember that university is a very old institution, that they're serving society certain need that was a couple decades.
500 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're trying to train a lot of professionals in the society, which is important. But at the same time, right now, it's not the best way to, okay, I wouldn't say it's not the best way, but I would just say that it's not, there are more efficient way in order to achieve the same goal. So you can see there are actually a lot of coding bootcamp, entrepreneurial thing, or even high school that actually start you and teach you about entrepreneurship since high school. So people have a head start when they're 16. I was like, what the hell? They're doing all this stuff. So I think major, even the major is teaching you one thing, try to still complete it with good grades. I think it's more like a standard about your person, but at the same time, remember that this is it's only one pipeline. There are a lot of pipeline out there that can help you grow.
Okay, we open up any other questions people want to ask? Benjamin?
Actually, I have a question
Okay,
about
yeah.
the update. Yeah, because I saw that there is a lot of, I saw the news saying that you have grown a lot of users, and just now you mentioned a lot of users are using Gööp in this pandemic situation. I want to ask if there is any updates that you guys have done in this pandemic, and any changes that you have gone through.
Oh, right. Yes. And you know, a few months ago there was HKDSE, right? It's public examination in Hong Kong, and there was a mess because even the education bureau was not sure whether or how this public exam would be conducted. And then it was in March that we decided to march into the high school market, and then we created a community for mostly the Form 6 students to communicate. And then luckily it went viral again, because all the students, they were so panicked about their strategy of preparing for HKDSE, because they have one more month's time for preparation. And yeah, most of them were hesitating about, was struggling about how to do it. And yeah, and we came in and we saw quite a lot of interesting interactions going on there. Some people, they were spreading about it's not fake news, like unconfirmed news, and it caused a lot of interesting discussion within the community, and some people started to condemn that person, and that person, I'll call it lemon because his emoji is a lemon, and then he came out to apologize, and then suddenly the entire discussion atmosphere reversed. Like back then, people were condemning, oh, you're spreading fake news, you're being irresponsible, we're helpless enough already, you shouldn't do this, blah blah blah. And then suddenly, after that apology, the entire community become like so supportive, and suddenly they become so how to say this? They were they try to understand that person's discussion and try to comfort him. And then we see it's very interesting to me to observe this an entire story.
So in the future, I mean, we are obviously entering a new normal, where in education likely will change even more. DSE's role, universities' roles, and so on. As a company, as a solution to this target market, how would you prepare for your future? That's a tough question.
Yeah,
that's what an investor would ask. What's your vision? Because you are in a way helping campus life. What if there are no more simple, God forbid, campus life for a while, for a few years, where we still need to be mixed mode, social distancing, and there might be opportunity for you, but the way that people study, it would change. So or during this 15 years old to 25 years old, that period, that whole thing would change. How do you see potentially you taking advantage of that, or how do you grow with these people to actually prepare them for the future?
Well, that is a really tough question. So from our perspective, and actually we along the way we have been trying to observe which part of students' life could be digitalized, could be internalized on Gööp. So what Gööp does now is that it actually it has already digitalized some of their social life. For example, back then you could only join student society or dormitory in order to get information from the community, right? So now you have Gööp. You can ask everybody on campus via Gööp, and we're trying to see if there is some more things that we can do heading to this direction. For example, in the next update, we're trying to integrate like payment, like career, like counseling services into Gööp or a related infrastructure. So yes, actually, it is. I mean, COVID-19 does not, to a large extent, affect our planning, because our vision is already there. We are trying to digitalize what's offline to online, and yeah, that's my perspective. Perhaps John has more to share on this perspective.
I think to better prepare is about two things, which is skills and network. So skills is actually what the course can provide you, and turning a lot of virtual classrooms, I think you guys can still acquire the skills that is needed for you to proceed. You need to know about finance, you need to know about coding, you need to know about other things. These things, I think actually a lot of time MOOC, MOOC or other digital platform can give you a pretty good training on skills. And but the harder thing actually to solve right now compared to before is that each of you are in your own classrooms or your own room, bedroom or other places, right? So it's actually harder to form the right connection that you would need in your future campus or in your future career. So actually this is where Gööp comes in. Gööp wants to provide a platform for people to connect to the right person. So be it you connect you to the right project partners, connect you to your future co-founders when you are starting your e-commerce shops, or connect you to your future boyfriend, girlfriend, etc. Who knows?
Yeah.
So these are the things that actually Gööp want to provide, but we are not really solving this problem yet. But I think that in general, preparation, which is a very useful delineation, which is skills and networks. These two things are something that I think in the post-pandemic movement, it might be quite difficult to, it's easy to solve the skills problem, the skills gap, but it's difficult to solve the network problem overall after one academic year. So I don't know what's the solution. Maybe do more sections or be more active in classrooms, etc. But in general, I think this is something that need to be solved going on. One more interesting news that I read recently. Apparently, a lot of Harvard freshmen, they are reluctant to start their semester. They would rather not start their semester because they're paying expensive tuition. They feel like they would rather start later because they wouldn't really get the most out of it from a virtual experience. And a lot of MBA as well. It's not just freshmen. MBAs, they're asking for a refund for their tuition fee. So these two elements, I think, is actually quite reflective of the part that campus is not only providing skills, it's providing you networks. So something to think about. Yeah, so that's my take.
Yeah, I think very good point where I think in a way we don't know yet because of this new normal is something that we don't know. But definitely, I think you point out very important that going to school is more than just pick up knowledge, especially one way. One way MOOC would do all the best. I mean, you don't have to fly to Boston. Most of the MIT stuff are online. You can get a MicroMaster degree all online. So, but is it the same? It might be better. It might not be. But the way that people learn have changed. So I think forever. I think that so that's something that we need to pick up. And also working with building team online and offline, and delivering things and so on. And all these are something that we need to work out. And tuition fee, I think that needs to be rethink. I fully agree because Harvard is just crazy because they even online they collect your room and board. So tuition I can understand, but room and board, how do you charge me for room and board if I'm not even there? So that's kind of crazy. So they're not a good merchant. So the consumer should go and actually fight them. I agree with the students, but new schools should start thinking new ways. So in Silicon Valley, one of the newer universities called Minerva. Minerva is basically all online. It's the first unicorn university, and basically it's a technology company, but it's also but it also have 9 campuses all around the world. So you are able within your 4 years of undergrad, you can go to any of the campus and actually study there. But even in any of the even when your professor is in the same room, you still use the online to actually do it. So it's something completely new that we are seeing. And all these are new model. And if we are talking about a old incumbent old industry, this education thing is very, very old. So it's waiting to be disrupted. So how do you disrupt that? It's something that we'll see. Actually, interestingly, early this week I was talking to the president of UST on this particular topic, and I must say we work very hard to ensure that we stay relevant. Because the old way and just charging the same price and expecting the same, it doesn't work. So we need to find the new value in the new normal, how to actually create that. So that's something that we will do. That's what we're doing. So for this class, for your information, for this class, we actually co-list with Lingnan University. So this is something new that we are trying to do. Why should any good course be offered just at one university? It should be open so other people can actually come in to actually work on. Actually, just yesterday, I was talking to Hong Kong U on the same thing, that we can actually exchange course. When a good speaker come in, we can exchange this whole thing so that different people can actually come in and share, because it's very hard to actually get people to actually come in and share. And all these are, by doing Zoom, we can easily deploy that. And we can have international people coming in at a very low cost. So all these are new things that we are seeing that this new technology or new normal can enable us to actually do, but that requires to actually think out of the box. And incumbents mostly think it within a comfort zone. So that doesn't work. So we're waiting for potential disruptors to actually come in and disrupt it. Okay, we are okay. Is there anything anybody else want to ask of our students? You guys are very quiet today. Anybody? Raise your hand or just turn off your mic. Turn on your mic.
So hi.
Yeah.
What are some of the strategies you use to spearhead entries to like some of the markets? So you mentioned like, was like the DSC not happening or the chaos within that, like an inspiration for you to break into that market? And what people did you first approach to like start using your platform? Because considering it's like a group platform, like, how did you get like, one community to start using it?
Okay, good question. The way we do our marketing is that we heavily leverage partnership to do it. So for every community, for every expansion the first thing we do is to scout for channel partners. So what I meant is that, for example, for HKDSC for high school market, right? So what we did is that we partnered with some of the famous tutorial teachers in Hong Kong, and then we form a partnership with them, and teachers can have their exclusive channels in order to broadcast their instant messages, their reminders, their little tips for revision. And their students can enjoy an exclusive access to these instant information. So once we found out that, oh, this partnership works, we translate it into a model and we crazily duplicate it, and that's how we grow. Same thing happens to university as well. We look for channel partners, for example, student unions, student organizations. We look for a way to partner with them, and we duplicate it. Yeah.
Oh, you're doing, yeah, go ahead.
On this, maybe I can share a little bit on Indonesia's strategy as well. We are trying to enter Indonesia 2-3 months before COVID. And most things, we are doing quite a lot of physical marketing back then. Maybe let me share the screen over here. Can you guys still see the screen I'm sharing? I'm doing a full screen right now. Oh, it seems like sharing on the wrong one. How about now?
That's fine.
Okay, I will stay with this. So entering that, a lot of people ask us, why do we choose Indonesia? And given that we are a social startup, a lot of valuation, etc., comes from the number of users that is actively using us. So we look around and decide that Indonesia actually we have tests. Again, you don't need a new app or a new website full-fledged in order to test the idea. You just need some SaaS software online to help you to execute this. So we test it, and then we find out that the customer acquisition cost of Indonesia users is around 0.17. So it's a logical move for us to go to a place with low acquisition costs, and also a huge market. There are 3 million students. So that's why we go to this country. And after doing the launch, we did a lot of event back then, pre-COVID. So this is a website, this is an event that we sponsor. We basically sign up 2,000 people by simply making votes between different teams. They will say that who they bet on is the winner, and then people flush in and vote. And by that, we get a pretty solid amount of users. And this strategy works until 2020 February. So basically this broke down because everybody is leaving the city, and then we cannot really replicate again. So we are trying to do different ways right now in order to launch the market. I can go into that. But I think in short, to summarize it, which is try to look for channels, or try to look for partners that you can leverage and you can provide values to them. And for us here, it's quite simple. It's just a little bit sponsorship money, and also a platform for them to have fun, and then they already let us acquire most of the users. So these things are quite tactical, honestly, but I think it's very important for you to start because the first 500 is the most difficult. It's even harder than the next 5,000. So I think this kind of it's not really growth hack, but just typical campaigns. I think it's quite useful for us to do it. Right. Hope I answered your questions.
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much. I just want to like also have a follow up. Is like, did you have any resources or like inspirations to like sort of start that sort of kickstarted all these like ways of like guerrilla marketing?
Right. Yeah, I think guerrilla marketing is a good way to summarize it. Honestly, there's not much typical resource. Only my email, my Facebook, and then I look at trying to recruit the best people around the city, mostly young students and young graduates. You know that they have execute campaign, and then I work with this team. I talk to this person online. I just co-message them, ask them, hey, we have an idea. Are you interested to onboard? And then we start rolling it in 2 cities. So I can give you more context about the city. So the 2 cities, one is called Bandung. Is a city in the mountain. There's around 150,000 users, already more than Hong Kong. And there's also Gööp in Jogja. This city is quite interesting. It's basically I like to call it a Boston of Indonesia. Basically, everybody flew. It's a college town. Everybody flew in from all around the country to this city in order to study. So it became our home base. So my office is actually right here. Do you see two icons? So those are our office. So we launch it, and then we get around 10,000 users at the peak, and the addressable market is 360. So in short, it's a foreign city before we flew in. We just text somebody, and then we put together a team, and then we start executing. And then it's going a little bit slow, so Kyle and I decided to fly over there to execute as well. So long story short is that I think there's actually not much excuse of not doing it or waiting for the right resource to fall on your lap. It's mostly just go out there, talk to people, and then you will line up the team that you need.
And very unlikely you have a case like this before in the job in entering Indonesia. Very interesting. Okay. Anything else? Tell us a little bit about your funding stage. How far have you been after your Boston start?
So we have initial, I wouldn't call it seed money, but it's more like an accelerator fund or something similar to Cyberport. So we got that, and then we have been launching. And after gathering some users around last year, we start talking to some angels in the city in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is actually, there are a lot of potential angel investors. I highly recommend just talk to some individuals, and then sometimes your product, if there's synergy with their own business, they would be interested in invest. So we got our angel funding, and then now, to be honest, I think seed funding is a little bit difficult in Hong Kong. So Kyle and I have been looking elsewhere in Singapore and also in Jakarta. So there are some VCs, and there are also some small funds that they are willing to invest. So we haven't secured that yet, but then we have been soft circling some interest around the block. So this is one. And at the same time, I think we are going for the strategy that we don't want to rely on pure funding. So right now, that's why we are doing so many marketing and execution in order to be having our own sustainable task force. So this is our strategy right now. Trying to raise a fund seed round, and at the same time, basically break even for every single month.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to do it, because now some angel is still different. I think I'm still sure that a lot of angels are still there. One of my companies were actually got funded last week, so still funds are moving around, especially in education related things, and digital education and so on. So, but at the same time, we don't know how far this economy would go. and the overall situation. So finding your own sustainability is actually key, and obviously especially at this stage. But you guys have stopped doing like any of those competition type thing and so on, right? Really running in the market.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, or making it virtual.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, so much for today. Thank you very much for coming. One thing, what we do is we actually the student would actually be posting. We are doing the homework as a reflecting to things that you guys have inspired them on today. So by Monday they will actually post it on Facebook. We invite you to actually come back and check them out. If you want some intern or something like that, or push your product even more in UST, maybe you can find somebody there or here to actually help you out. So we'll give you the posting, give you the link over the weekend, and then you can check them out to see how they react to it and so on. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Jonathan and Kyle, thank you so much for sharing. I do want to wrap this session up with one question I ask constantly across the board when we have speakers coming in. Is there a book or any sort of source of inspiration you want to share with students that you feel like is worth mentioning, something that changed your mind, something that kind of you just have this that you want to share? It could be anything. It could be a video. It could be usually ask a book, but anything you think is appropriate for them to check out. That would be great.
Yes. And recently, during my transit, I have been listening to a technology podcast. It's called 導讀 Tech. So in Chinese, it's called 科技導讀. I'm gonna send it to the comment section, their Facebook page. You can check them out. It's available on Spotify. I think it's also available on their website as well.
導讀.
Wait. Here. It's podcast by Taiwan. It's a tech media. Yeah. What they it is. I mean, the host, the moderator, on every episode, they are breaking down technology and explain to you the trend in layman terms. So it's easy to absorb. So I highly recommend this to everybody.
Thank you so much. Big fan of podcasts. I can't wait to listen to it. Jonathan, do you have any thing you want to share with us?
Yeah.
Oh, here we are.
Yeah, I cropped this image from Google. So this book is quite an inspiration for me in a way that is talking about nations or nationalism, etc. These are all very new concepts in the 1900s or 1800s. So they describe how it comes to be and how different tribes of people start thinking that they are one country. And it's not actually bound by language, it's not bound by race, or it's not bound by other things. A lot of time is some artifacts that define a country. So this book is quite interesting in a way that because Kyle and I are running communities, we are trying to build things that group people, give people a sense of identity. And this book is actually quite interesting. It is also related to describe a lot of how modern nations, when they run into a problem or when they come together, a lot of times this book also mentioned this type of concept. So I highly recommend this book. Yeah. What is a nation? It makes us to think about, what's a nation?
Thank you so much. So I have screen cap and also click on the link about Taiwan 科技导读. And then I'll share it with you guys on Canvas as well. I'm compiling this list of like every speaker is recommending different books and different resources. I'm guessing because next week is midterm, everyone is like stone-faced and very nervous about it. And you tell them, don't worry about GPA. And they're like, but I'm taking midterm right now. So it could be a little bit distracting. Regardless, we're so happy to have you two to come on board and share such an inspiring story. And it's pretty recent too. So it's really fresh and new and something that hopefully they could relate to. And as Erwin mentioned, we sent you the Facebook link, and please do stay in touch, and we would love to know more about Gööp and how you two continue on your entrepreneurial journey. So Harry, do you want to wrap up on anything?
Yes, so thank you so much about it. And as I remember just now, Jonathan also recommended a book. I remember that he's a minor in philosophy. So I think no matter what you're doing, it's very good that you know and tap into different knowledge that you may not be familiar with. So I think just be curious and try to know more different knowledge. And that's it, I think. Yeah.
Just
So
open my group on group. So if you guys are interested, go and download their site. And I'm Professor H over there. So try me out. I haven't tried the app until this morning. So let's see how it goes. Maybe we
Wonderful.
can do something
Professor X.
together. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So then wrap up our session today. For students who have questions, I'll stay behind. Undivided attention. Oh yeah, that one is really good too.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kyle.